Wellcraft, Boston Whaler, Beneteau, Jeanneau, Axopar and Saxdor should be worried about this brand. This team's playing to win. I think they're onto something.
I'm OMW. On my way to you.
So this is an adventure boat hull with American bow flare and volume. And the good ideas don't end just there, guys. We've got outboard engines, twin 350s or 400 Mercs with the V10s should you choose. But this is actually a modular design. So you can order it as a Suntop, open fishing boat if you want, and then say you've had your fun down in Florida and you want to move up to Maine, or you have a house up in Maine, the boat can change with you. So if you order it in one layout, you can actually just contact your dealer and they can send the modular pieces, including the side cabin walls, and this whole boat can change into a cabin boat. So there's some really, really interesting stuff going on here based on a wonderful hull design that's going to be quite familiar to a lot of the Yanks watching. Let's put it that way. So many of you talk to me in the comments, you want those flared bows, you understand the benefits of an adventure style deep V stepped hull, but the lack of volume was potentially a little bit of a negative. So that's what's potentially been resolved in this brand. And when I say playing to win, this is my second day here in beautiful Istanbul, Turkey. This company is serious. They have assembled a mighty team of real yachties, real boaters, and they're pushing hard. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. So what is this? This is the Aiata, I hope I pronounced that correctly, the Wayfinder 38 feet and more coming. Stay tuned for Dusseldorf. So first thing you're going to notice up here in the bow is this immense amount of volume. This is not something you could achieve on a pointy, traditional style adventure boat hull, because you're going to come into the front of the boat and you're going to lose a lot of that volume. But with the flare, we can still have it on this boat. So we have this amazing amount of space here. But when I talk about modular, it starts at the front and goes all the way to the back of the boat, because as standard, and I'm going to link to this in the bottom of the video description below, they have a really, really good website where you can actually just tick the boxes and you can configure the boat as you see fit with the pricing. But as standard, you have this lounge up here, this seat, but then you can option these two pieces just here to make the beautiful big U shape, and then you can also option this seat as well. But you don't have to have it like this. You can also have a big sun lounge as well. So then you would lose the U shape and have the sun lounge instead. The table you can come and go with the table if you want it or you don't want it. So this whole area can chop and change. So for those of you who are looking at this as a fishing boat, which is going to be absolutely fantastic for that purpose, you can do that. For those of you who want to use it as a pleasure boat, as a tender, it's good for that purpose as well. But just come up here and have a bit of a look around the bow. Look at this amount of space we have. She's a higher gunnel compared to a lot of your adventure boats. So if you're pulling this up on the sand, you are going to need a bow ladder. You're not going to be able to jump on and off this bow because she's a big thing. But you've got your anchor windlass and storage for fenders just up the front here. A good amount of volume, a little bit more storage on either side, or access, I should say, on either side. So it is perfect for Mediterranean style mooring. We do have quite a bit of wind today, so hopefully that's not disturbing the microphone. So for Mediterranean style mooring, where you do need to carry extra fenders, this is a perfect location for that. So you've got the drop down cleats on port and starboard, and you can have an optional bow shade to protect this whole area. Got the navigation lights, and I just love this amount of space and volume we have here. A little bit of storage underneath there, but there isn't actually storage under here because this is access to the cabin downstairs. Wait until you see the accommodation. It is incredible. Like, it really is a great amount of space down there, but ergonomics are on point. And see all these cushions? Yes, you don't want to leave them out if you've got a dusty wind blowing in from Africa or from Western Australia. So you want to get them off the decks, and they've been designed in such a way that they will remove quite easily. I've just got some Velcro and zippers out the back here. These backrests will just come off. You open this hatch, just send them down. So it's quite simple. Drink holders, windscreen wipers, and she's got quite a presence. Some of you may actually recognize or see hints with regards to the design, because the designer is the same guy. He's from Finland, who had a little bit to do or a lot to do with the Axopar brand. So you're probably going to see some similarities when we have a look at the whole design. And yes, we are going to be doing a proper test drive. So that's going to be the next video after this one, if that's of interest to you. But just look at the overhang here. That's going to give you a good amount of protection from the sun in the middle of the day. It's got quite nice aggressive lines. This gutter here is a great grab handle. The stability is fantastic, but we also have option for gyro and generator, because we do have the volume on this boat and it can carry the extra weight. It's not a problem. So getting up on the roof, we'll go back to the modularity thing. So come up and have a look. This particular boat has been optioned with the electric opening sunroof, but as standard, you can just have a GRP roof, and then you can also option this roof with some solar panels. So you can do standard GRP, you can do the solar panels, or you can do the soft top opening like so. You can see you've got the grab handles up here, so that's going to lend itself perfectly for some roof racks. So it's kind of like you do you, it's totally possible. And there's rocket launcher options for rod holders and all the fishing guys. That's an attachment just there for the bow, sun lounge. Here's your pop down midships cleats, and the foredeck is all flat, and then you come down these couple of stairs here. But just look at the amount of protection I've got, plenty to hold on to. And when you get to this location here, no one's falling overboard. So it's feels like quite a safe hull, in my opinion. But the good ideas keep going. It really is incredible, this boat. The deck hatches go all the way around the boat, and so it's storage, but also live wells. So you can, you got a macerator pump as standard in that down the back, so you can, macerate ice, dead fish, whatever you need to do. That's all possible. But come in here and have a look at the interior, because this is just super, super interesting. So if you go for the Suntop version, you don't have to have all this furniture. So these sides are optional. This is the cabin version, but you can order it as the Suntop version with no sides, completely open, just this seat here and this seat here, and just use it as a functional go fast boys boat. It's going to be awesome. But then say your missus gives birth and now you need to have more protection, or turn it into more of a family boat. You can literally just call your dealer and have these side panels sent to the dealership and bolt it on. That's literally all they have to do there. Got the big opening back door there, which I've got some ideas about, because like all boats, it's not perfect. There's a couple of things that I would amend or suggest fixing or making more awesome. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. But I just think this is fantastic. This is something I haven't really seen before. And I guess where we're going is we're allowing boats to grow with us rather than having to ditch the boat and replace it with something else. You now have the option to allow the boat to grow with you, which I like that concept. I kind of get a little bit peeved by everyone banging on about green credentials, which don't really sound green to me. But I think making a boat that's modular, that actually can change with you, so therefore you can keep it for a longer amount of time as opposed to needing to ditch the boat and get a different one. To me, that seems a lot more green than any of these other supposed green options. So, amazing amount of space, American size and feel at the helm. Like, just look at the height. I cannot touch the roof. I'm 5'7", so if you're a tall guy or girl, you're not going to have any issues in terms of visibility and space here at the helm. You got these big aluminium supports or pillars holding up the roof. You got this wraparound glass there. That's the size of the vertical pillars on either side. If you didn't have the cabin version, you can have a little bit thinner pillar just here. So in terms of a visibility perspective, it's totally safe. From an operational perspective, this one's been fitted with Hondas. You can set it up with the Mercuries as well, but ergonomically, it's a really fun boat to stand and drive. If you're sitting and driving, you might want to be a little bit taller than me. But yes, you do have a footrest that just folds down from here, so that's totally possible. Let me just deploy that for you now so you can see, and let's just have a little go. So that's okay, actually. That's still possible, but I think it's probably designed to allow for people who are a little bit taller. And look at that, even me standing up fully, I can see directly through the glass. So if that gives you an idea for the size and space that we have available at the helm, that should help. So just quickly, we've got GPS, flat screen, Garmin just here. That's a multifunctional display. You do have space for more and you can option that up. We've got the engine diagnostics just here. We've got our bow thruster there, phone charger in here. We're doing zip wakes on this boat. We do have the Seakeeper as an option as well. That's running off a battery and it also takes power from the motors, but you can option this up with a generator if you wish. And even if you don't order it with the generator, it still has the fuel tank for the generator from the factory, because that's the difficult and potentially complicated thing to install. So if you order a generator later on down the line, you can still plug it in, which is kind of sensible. That looks like a chain counter. I think, what is that? I'm not too sure what that is. Windscreen wiper operation here, VHF, fusion, engine start and stop, and that's your VHF unit just there. And you've got adjustable wheel here. Then we have the trims override there, but we can do it on the throttle here, key start, and we've got a bit of storage underneath the dash and a decent little footrest. Underneath the floor just here looks like refrigeration or air conditioning. We've got access to everything, so they're not hiding access anywhere on this boat, because we can get in and above the fuel tank underneath these two hatches here. And as I said, all the way around the boat, we're going to show you every single hatch has got storage and it's got some function. This seat's awesome, and I've got an idea on how to make it potentially even more awesome in the future. But one thing that you may or may not have noticed is, same on this seat, they actually just flip straight over. So how awesome is that? So if you do take this U-shaped module, it's full social mode, and it's pretty no nonsense because that supports just there, it just folds out. You got your little table like so. This will also drop down, and we've got some cushions that go over the top of it. And you can see we've got proper footrests for people with my leg length. So that's still good. And they all fold up just like so, quite easily. So if you want to get access into the hatch below, you can. Got storage underneath these seats just here. We've got a drawer, microwave, storage. We've got a proper little sink in here, and we even have a cooker just there. So that's part of that module. Super cool. But you don't need to cook in here because there's more options out the back of the boat, which I think quite a few of you are going to be interested in. Got some grab handles here. Got some sensible design in terms of boarding the boat. So if you want to utilize that step there and there, particularly if you're using this in the tender function, that might be useful. And we've got the grab handle for the big, solid, thick door forward and aft. And future versions are going to have some stoppers to be able to stop the door in this position and that position as well. We're on hole number 1. So lots of interesting and cool stuff going on out the back here. And it's a little bit exciting. And it's also really interesting to see a different take on what everyone is sort of trying to do at the moment, because if you watch my channel, you'll know that most people are doing the drop-down wings on boats of this size and design today. But that's got an added level of complexity, and we already have something like 3.5 meters worth of beam on this boat. You know, I was filming a power catamaran the other day that had 4 meters beam. So just add that up. So we have a lot of space here. And one of the clever solutions is instead of doing a single door, here we go. I'll just undo this. We've just done double doors, and the sense of space you get with this double door, I'm going to do the other side as well. It actually starts to feel, and please jump in the comments, guys. I just love all the feedback you guys have been giving me lately. Do you believe this also gives you the vibe or the sense of drop-down wings? Because I do. So now we can do a proper swim ladder, boarding from the side. We've obviously got the emergency ones out on the transom as well. A decent little platform coming out on the back. So if you're doing med mooring and you've got your engines down, you can still step off the transom, and obviously anyone can access the sides on port or starboard quite easily. This open back door provides a huge amount of protection. So it feels like, you know, it's like almost like a bimini as well. Even though you can do the sunshades as an option with the poles, that just seems like a simple, ready-made solution. So I kind of like it. But there's more. So underneath here, we actually have storage for fenders and covers, which we've utilized already. In future models, I think they're even talking about teaking this, which I think would be nice just to make it a little bit more bougie, because you are kind of going to put your feet on it and it's going to be logical. But now feel this out. How good's that? So this does have a function when you basically deploy these two legs here and here. It's now become your own hangout spot. So this view, this is wonderful. Like if you're using this in social, relaxing boat mode, you are protected. You can close those doors if you've got the cabin version, and you are just enjoying the best view in the house. And I'll talk about my ideas about this in a second, because I've actually got more I want to discuss with you before we get there. Because this seat here, yes, this is an option. Yes, you can also do the ski pole across the back here, which I think would be useful for a lot of people, because even though many of you aren't actually towing any biscuits, people or boats, it's just a nice thing to hold on to. So that could be useful. But this doesn't have to be a seat. It can also be a huge, big wet bar slash fishing station with a seat on top, or you could do the full-on fishing station with the kill tanks, or with the live bait wells, I should say, right here. And as you might be able to see, it's on tracks. So right now I've got the seat in the forward position. I don't know if I've unlocked it or not. Let's just pull it all the way back. Boom, boom. So that's how much space you've got to play with. And if you've got the module in this location, you still have all of this, and we can put cushions on the top of this as well and drop it down should we wish. So I think that's really, really clever. We've still got our kid and doggy doors out the back here. We've got cleats there. We've got full wraparound fenders. So if you just have a look across the side, we do have a decent, probably 1.5 inch rubber, but it wraps all the way around the transom at both ends on port and starboard. So if you have a little whoopsie at the dock, it's still going to be a bit of a savior, so to speak. But it doesn't end there, guys. So underneath the floor, just in this midsection here, if you option the generator and gyro, that's where this is located. So forward of me, underneath the floor there is the fuel tank, 800 litres. You've got about 200 litres of water from memory. And just in here, you have space for the generator and the gyro. And in these ones, I might just close this to show you have same on either side. Boom, boom. So this can be a kill tank because that's drained with a macerator as standard, same on the other side. And then we've got more of these lockers or storage boxes running the length of the deck on port and starboard. So it's kind of like you do you. Look, 1, 2, 3 more on either side. Fantastic, practical, sensible. Deploying fenders is done through these little thingamajiggies. They're all right. Sometimes they're annoying if you go from one dock to another and you have to change the fender height. But what you could do, you could just have one fender with a short rope and one tied with a longer rope. So then you might be able to be flexible with that one. Fuel in is on this side. Diesel in, water in, waste out is on the other side underneath the floor. And I think I've pretty much covered everything there, but I just point out a couple more little points. So when you're driving, if you're driving on a semi-cold day and you want the main doors closed, you still have an option to get a bit of through flow air. Obviously you could crack the roof if you want and you had the sunshade option, but just see this window here, you can crack this window, and because you have the little companionway sliding door next to the helm, you'll actually get a nice little bit of airflow through the cabin. So unless you're in Thailand or middle of summer in Florida, you can actually still drive this boat in most conditions with the doors closed and have a good amount of airflow coming through the cabin, so it's quite comfortable for everyone. So just lots and lots of good thinking. I really, really like it. So we've got a fridge there. I don't know if I pointed that out before. That's the inside fridge. You've obviously, if you go for the barbie station out the back or the fishing station, you're going to have more refrigeration in there too. Your sunroof is operated from here. This is your air conditioning, and you can also have heating and diesel heating if you wish. Drink holders on either side, and down speakers, down lights, a little bit more storage up above, and it's all just very plush. Like I'm super impressed with this. I think that probably covers everything up here on deck just as the rain starts to fall. So we'll go from here straight downstairs, and then I'm going to finish up talking about perhaps some little bits and pieces that I've noticed along the way, and hopefully get some feedback from you guys in the comments down below. Come on, let's do this. I'm a sailor, I'm not a journalist. 30 years of testing power and sailboats, and today all I do is unbiased boat reviews for you to help your boat life. I'm not selling any boats or doing paid advertorials. Okay, so you need to pop this hatch up and then slide this one, although you can enter most height without a problem, without having to open that one if you don't need to. And then come on down, you just got 2 big stairs, and you have this cute little lounge on the port side, but just straight away pay attention to the amount of space we have down here. It really is quite nice. We've got a good amount of headroom. That's the hatch that I was referring to before. We have another hatch on this side, and then that's same on the other side in the head. But come on down and just get a feel for the space down here. It really is lovely. The timber work feels like a Scandinavian sailing yacht. It is a very high quality. The upholstery, the timber, the lines, and the feel that you get in here is really, really nice. And this is this massive opening hatch, which is great for ventilation, also for access for kids, and as I said, putting those cushions in and out. But look at the windows on either side. Super, super nice. This is great for 2 people. We've got storage on either side. We've got phone charging, we've got reading lights. We do have curtains that drop down for privacy, and you have reading lights on either side, so you can have your head at either end of the bed should you wish. Access to the bow thruster is underneath the forward cushion, and then we have this drawer in here for your bedding, and then we also have more storage in here, but we've got a proper hanging locker in this cupboard on starboard. As you can see, we've got all of our safety gear in there at the moment. Small fire extinguisher, and then if you pass me the camera, and I'll just show you in the head. It's a very plush head, this one. I like this timber work, offset against the grey and the white. You got that little mirror. That's the opening hatch I was talking about, and that window just above, which is essentially forward of the helm, gives you a bit of natural light as well. And then you're just standing on the timber floor, but you may or may not have noticed you've also got this panel to essentially finish off the space a little bit. So when the head's not in use, you can actually just drop that down and the whole space cleans up. Because I don't know if any of you guys have been to Turkey before, they have really nice bathrooms here. And so it's nice to see them carrying on that tradition with this one. And actually, just let's put it into perspective, because my height, grab that, and I'll just show you how much space I've got in this one. So that's a big difference. If you're looking at Axopar 37, for example, you're essentially going to the dunny in the middle of the saloon, whereas this thing is a proper wet area and a sit-down toilet, which is a big difference, I know, for quite a few of you. So heaps of space in the head, but this cute little area doesn't finish there. You can sleep on there. So that's fine for a kid, maybe an adult if you just needed to have a kip, but it's kind of good, sensible use of space. You could also use that as storage if you need a little, not really storage because it's your 240 breakers just under there, and all of your 12 volt, including your battery switches, are straight underneath here. So sensible and easy to access. But this is a nice space. Like this is workable. And I think for a couple who potentially wanted to spend more than a weekend away, this boat could definitely do it for you. It's going to lend itself to longer periods of time on the water. This year alone, I'm going to test over 100 different boats, guys. So if my experience on driving all these boats is going to help you with a purchase, go ahead and ask me on Connect. If you have a question, that's the place to ask. Links down below in the description. Kept my notes for this piece, guys, because there's a lot to talk to you about. So the reason why I think these guys are playing to win, it's the mob behind this brand. It's the Anadolu Group. I hope I got that correct. They are a big organization. They build buses, utes, trucks, all sorts of manufacturing. They're a big employer here in Turkey. They've got like tens of thousands of staff. So they haven't just started a boat brand and, you know, trying to grow when the sales come. They've built a massive modern facility, which I have visited, and they've taken technology that straight out of their car and commercial vehicle manufacturing plants, which they own and operate, and they've put it into the boat world. So that's really, really interesting. I saw some tech and I saw some ideas, and I'm someone who's probably visited about 50 boat factories now on just about every continent. I saw some tech and some ideas in that factory that I haven't seen before. I was like, holy cow, these guys are thinking. Then I had dinner on the Bosphorus River. Beautiful place, recommend it, with the boss. And I got to understand the journey. And it just so happens that everyone in the board of directors, all the decision makers and the team that they have assembled, they're all boaters. They all own boats and they specifically understand the customer journey. So these are people who are going to listen, learn, evolve and iterate their designs into better and better boats. And they've started, in my opinion, on the right foot. They've started with an exceptional designer and they've come up with a design that meets a real need. Something that's fast, fun, capable, with volume, which you can't necessarily always get on some of the adventure style boats. So I think that's really, really interesting. It's not perfect. So these panels, yes, they're a great idea and they're going to work in the long run, but I believe they need a tiny little bit of iteration, because in the test drive, as you're going to see in the next video, there's a little bit of noise, because when you bolt on panels and they move through waves, they're going to squeak. So we've identified that, spoken to the factory, they're already aware of it, and I think they're going to do a Mark II, or they're going to have to look at a Mark II version and just doing some fine touches to make that what it truly can be, because I do think that idea is a fantastic one. Also, some of this external timber work, it's beautiful, and the Turks are known for their, they make gullets. They're a very, very famous boat that comes from Turkey. So if you don't know what it is, Google it. They're wonderful. But for some of us in Florida and in Australia, we don't want the maintenance that timber work implies. So they are also aware of that, and they're looking at solutions to maybe offering these tables, those grab handles in obviously GRP or something a little bit more tropical friendly. And some of you did jump into the comments saying, can we just have tropical spec for some boats? And I think that is also a good idea. So we did discuss that. Final thing, a second sleeping cabin. There isn't a second sleeping cabin, but there could be, because all of this is modular, and the Ideas Trust spoke about it over dinner last night, and it could be something that would be doable on this boat, a sun lounge or something incorporating this roof that turns into a tent and another sleeping area. I could be really putting my foot in it here because the management team didn't discuss that, but I'm suggesting it's a good idea. And this is where you guys come in. If you're seriously looking at a boat like this, can you jump in the comments and tell me whether you agree, disagree, or have another or a better idea? Because a lot of the manufacturers and the designers and the decision makers are watching these videos now. And I think if we could just communicate honestly and pitch in with good ideas, we're going to make our boat life a lot better, which is the whole intention in the first place. So that's what I had for you on that one. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly have. This is, I think, going to be one of those future cult brands, because they've got so many things going for them. If you want to tick a lot of boxes and appeal to a really wide market, I think that's what's happening on this particular brand. But next up, we're going for a drive. And as you may or may not have noticed, it's blowing dogs off chains out there. We've actually come to a protected bay, but it's 30 knots of wind, and we do have some serious short and sharp chop out there. So we give the boat a proper test. That's the next video. I hope you join me if you're interested. Click on the link coming up on the screen right now. Thanks so much. Coming from Istanbul. Love you lots, guys. See you in the next one.
I'm OMW.